It's the Scene World podcast. I'm Joerg. No,
I'm
I'm not.
AJ.
Well, that one started off well.
Well,
Whatever,
we changed
whatever. I'll go with
buddies.
that. I'll
We changed
I'll be
buddies.
York for today. I'll be York for today. Whatever. It's all good. This is the it's the Scene World podcast. This is the second time we're doing this because the first time things didn't quite work out with our software.
I was
So we're
supposed to
starting.
mock it up, but AJ didn't like the idea. So
Yeah, Jorg wanted to take the audio of me that we got and then just put a dancing picture of a monkey in front of it, and he figured that nobody would know the difference. But I was really kind of, I really wanted to just sort of redo it and start from scratch, and because while it's true that people probably wouldn't understand, probably wouldn't notice the difference between me and a dancing monkey, um, I would know the difference between me and a dancing monkey.
oh,
So, so that's all that
nice,
matters.
nice.
So in a minute, we have Adam Bhatti. He is the global product and brand manager for Pro Evolution Soccer from Konami, and we'll be talking to him in a couple minutes about Pro Evolution Soccer, and Konami and things like that in general, which is cool because as people may know, we played Pro Evolution Soccer a bit on Extra Life Game Day, which was several days ago and is now over, and which I'm almost recovered from. We went through 20. Actually, it was more like 25 or 26 hours because we started at 4 o'clock. Well, my time, Eastern time, we started at 4 o'clock in the morning, which for York was a leisurely 10 a.m. or so. He got up, had breakfast, lounged around, and then started. I was like at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm stumbling out of bed to start recording stuff. So we started at 4 a.m. and we ended at, it was closer to 6 or 7, I think, for me. So I mean, we were really we were there for a while, and it was fun because we got to hit some games that I haven't played since. I did some Commodore games, which I used to play as a kid, and I'm sure everyone's played these games as a kid. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who
Yeah.
doesn't know ski or die, summer games?
Ski or Die, I've never played. I've played Skate or Die, but we went back to summer games and winter games, and these are games that I had when I was younger. These are games that the first games that I had for my 64, and I don't think I've played them since I had a 64, since I was that age, because there's no real need to. But it was kind of fun to sit there and force other people to sit through it and hurt themselves, and we played Caveman Olympics.
And kill a
And
joystick.
yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Because as I said earlier, and we didn't get, but I'll do it again. On those games, all you do to play the game is you take your controller and you go.
Let me show you the old school version.
Yeah, and there's a thing on, yeah,
So
and there's
it's
a
like,
thing on Caveman Olympics in particular, in which, I mean, you're starting fire, and you have to start fire that way. And I don't think I apparently Jurg says that I succeeded in starting
yeah,
fire.
yeah.
I think I just set fire to my controller by jamming it back and forth so much. So it was entertaining. It was fun. We had some guests. I called my mom at around 2 o'clock in the morning because I needed backup. But it was fun. It was interesting. We'll be putting the videos up on YouTube pretty soon. And speaking of YouTube, do we want to say something about what we're doing with YouTube?
Well, yeah. Actually, you can explain a bit about. Actually, we wanna expand our stuff, our variety of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. We've got the magazine, which is still the magazine, and that's going to be the magazine for the upcoming, for the foreseeable future.
For the next
And York
15
has
years.
his Yeah, and York has his the video interviews with pioneers that come out with the issues. We do the podcast regularly-ish, in that it's every once or twice a month, depending on how busy either of us gets. Um, And now we've got a Twitch channel, and we've made use of that channel by doing the Extra Life. But now we can do other stuff with it as well. Now that we've kind of broken it in. But we also have a YouTube channel, which at the moment is pretty much just a receptacle for stuff that we've got. And so we want to make more original content for you guys. And so we'll be doing that. We've got some people that are going to help with it. Andrew Fisher, who is one of our main editors, he's got some ideas. There's a couple of people that will really be sort of. We're bringing in some more people to do some stuff with this. We might be there occasionally, and yeah, so that's where we are with that. And I'm not gonna go into too much about what it's gonna be. We'll just need to. You just need to keep an eye open and see when it comes down the road.
But look what I got in the post today.
Oh yes, what did you get in the post office today? Oh, look at that. Look at that fine packaging. That's the Commodore phone. That is who we talked to Paolo Besser and Massimo Canagiani about a couple months back. Have you ever considered being a hand model, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Jörg will be doing an unboxing of that soon, and I should have one coming to me very soon as well.
Look
and
at this beautifully shaped, half-broken box.
Yep. So when mine gets here, we'll see what that looks like and how it is, and then we're gonna use it for a bit, and we're gonna do a review on them and see what it is. So thanks to Paolo and Massimo and everyone at Commodore who stuck by, their promises to send us two idiots a demo sample unit.
That we will return after we broke it.
Yeah. So speaking of Extra Life, again, game night is over. We're still recovering, but we've managed, or Team Illuminate, I should say, which we were part of. That's what used to be the Frag Dolls. Team Illuminate raised $18,000 for children, so that's no little thing. So
right.
we're pretty happy about that. Yeah, we're pretty jazzed about that, and it's not over with yet. We're still raising money through the end of the year, and so we encourage everyone to go to our fundraising sites. I'm extra-life/participant/AJH, and Joerg is extra-life.org/participant/NAVCOM. Same thing, just AJH and NAVCOM at the end. You can go to our Twitch channel, and there's links to it, or you can probably look at underneath the description of this, and there's links to it there goes.
Yeah. Actually, what will end is the appointment at the Film Museum in Frankfurt at the Film and Games exhibition, because that evening shows will come to an end. So,
Right.
yeah. So we will have our last interview with Crystal Herring, the community manager of Twitter.
Well, maybe not our last interview with her. It'll be the last interview at the museum.
Exactly.
We hope to talk to Crystal plenty of times in the future. She's a friend of the show, and we like her. So, but the museum will be coming to an end, and I'm going to be there.
Sure.
Am I going to?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be there. That'll be my second. I was supposed to be there for a couple others, but I kind of didn't make it to some of them.
Yeah, because you had dumb work stuff, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think I had I actually had dumb dog stuff.
Okay. Like in the first episode, anal leakage or something?
Yes, anal gland explosions. This here is for all of our viewers. This is Elmer, the SeaWorld dog.
Nice.
Hi.
Hi. Now we got some cuteness pet bonus.
Exactly. That'll get the viewers. So,
you know what? I will put in some noises there.
Yeah. There you go.
Like others do. Like Putty Pie.
So, what else we got in news?
Well, aside from AJ annoying me with his favorite stuff and looking stupid, today John Hare announced that he is working on his Sensible Soccer, reboot called
Hmm.
Sociable
Hmm.
Soccer on Kickstarter. He is a legend in the
Yeah, yeah.
well, in the groundbreaking of computer soccer.
Yes. I don't think I ever played Sensible Soccer.
I played it once on the PC, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it? What was it? What was the gameplay dynamic of that like? The only, honestly, aside from older FIFA, the only soccer game that I really played is like old five-a-side soccer by like Mastertronic. I think made it years and years ago on the C64, which wasn't really anything at all like soccer, other than the fact that it said soccer in the name.
I really loved Micro Pro Soccer
Hmm.
with the banana kick.
Never played
Yeah.
it.
And
I
the
got the I got the
rain.
mat. I got the what are the catalogs. You ever get them? Did you get them in Germany in the 90s and I guess the late 80s? You'd get like you get things in the mail. If you ever ordered a game, you'd get these things in the mail from like Accolade or whatever software company it was, and it would be all their new games in
No,
this little catalog that you'd get.
no,
No?
unfortunately, no, no, no.
Oh, those things were the best. I always used to look through them and look at all the games I couldn't get.
Oh, too bad. But now you got them
So.
all thanks to the internet.
Actually, I don't, which is kind of a shame. I don't really have them all. I tried to play in Extra Life when we were sitting there. I sat back and I tried to play Space Rogue. That was one of the games that I loved when I was younger. I played that game through like 3 or 4 different times, and it's a space flight simulator sort of thing with combat and role playing elements and all. And I decided let me try it on the emulator because I really like that game. And you don't see too much about it. People don't really talk about it too much. And wow, it was terrible.
One of the games I can really suggest you is the train, because the train is you are a train driver in the Second World War,
Oh, the
and
train. I thought you were saying the drain. I was
the
like the toilet.
train you are a train driver at the World War II, and you are supposed to fight against the Nazis. And the thing is, it has such a detail. You can even see the flames being animated in the oven where you would put in the coals for heating up, and getting speed. So it's really like a very very good train simulation on the Commodore
Hmm.
64, and you are actually standing in front and controlling the train. So this is really
Hmm.
something that really amazed me. So you should go and watch the train by Accolade. It's
Okay. Okay.
it's amazing.
Accolade made some good games. Accolade made they made Ace of Aces. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
So yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I asked you about your view from this year, having making progress at the magazine with the web emulation and the podcast. So what do you think about this achievement that we reached this year?
Well, I mean, what do I think about like the past year in general? Like
Sure.
what we've. Oh,
Well, look back. I mean, we spoke to so many guests. You got so many new views, opinions from
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Like,
2015 was a big year. I think for us in a lot of ways because we kept doing this, and we had a whole year to do it. Unlike we started this in 20. Did we start this in 2014?
in July, I guess.
Oh, sweet Jesus, we did. So yeah, so I mean, 2015 was kind of a yeah. Most of our guests really. I mean, we did three podcasts in 2014, and then all of them have been in 2015, and it's just been. I mean, they've been getting one after another. They've been getting better, and we had a really good issue release. Both of the issues that we've done this year have been very very good. We've been and it's been very positive. And there's just been more and more stuff that we've taken part in Extra Life. That was a huge thing. We've taken part in You went to Gamescom. I went to, a video game con, which I'm still editing the video on. I know. Shut up, leave me alone. Um, so I mean, there's lots of stuff that we got to do, and it's really kind of it's been a fun year, and it's been a lot of expansion this year, and hopefully 2016 is more the same. I think that we're going to keep doing what we're doing. The podcast will continue to be as regular-ish niche as it is, and we'll have new stuff on YouTube and Twitch, and there'll be people besides Jurg and I because, like we don't have enough to do already. Um, so yeah, it's just going to be in more. There's just going to be more of the same and better stuff coming out as we go along. So everyone should stick with us and keep watching and listening
Subscribe
and
our
reading.
YouTube channels. We need more subscriptions
Yes.
to YouTube channels.
Wow. Or at least view them.
Yeah, sure. So let me ask you, which
Well, what did you think about this past year?
wait, I wasn't done with my question yet.
Oh,
What
okay.
was
Well,
your
carry on.
favorite podcast show this year?
You know, that's
A tough question, right? I know.
it is a very tough question because they've all been really, really cool. In many different ways, I have to say one of my favorites with this was probably Dave Lowe because we've done things like we talked to CinemaWare and 3D Realms and people that were doing stuff and that were running Kickstarters and whatever. But with Dave Lowe, that was the first time where I kind of felt like we were part of the machine almost, kind of. It's like, and it was getting down to the wire. We put our podcast out and they were still, and it was like 3 or 4 days left of their fundraising. And that was really the first time that we had done one where I was watching it I was keeping my eye on it because I wanted them to get funded. So that's probably one of my favorites so far, just because they were cool to talk to, and I don't know that we necessarily did, but I felt like we were able to contribute to their getting to where they wanted to be. So I mean that's one of my favorites. The Tron guy was also cool. That was at the museum, and that was really, that almost felt like a professional production. I mean, there were so many people involved in that one. Normally, when we do a podcast, it's me and Jurg, and that's it. And we sit there and we talk, and then we have to cut out the parts where we're being stupid, which I would really rather we didn't do in this one. Leave them in. It's fine. We cut out the parts where we're stupid or where we make mistakes, and then it comes down to one of us to edit this and put it out. But with Jay Maynard, we were live. We were in the museum. We had Sven Vessing, who was I think like our second or third guest. He was our second guest. He was there. He was he was a chat host. And there was an array of people working on getting the video right and getting the lighting right and doing this and doing that, and we were all on Skype from different spots, and it was like it was really kind of, it was cool because it was more than just me and Jurg sitting here talking to each other and to a guest. It was like it was a production, and that was just neat. It was fun to do that. And there was also Commodore, because Massimo had such a soothing voice, and I just wanted to go to sleep. What about you? What have your favorites been?
Good question. Well, I really like the atmosphere of being at Gamescom, and so I have to say, the Gamescom special really, really was something that was close to my heart. And talking to EA Sports, and being invited and going all through this professional journalistic process, like being elected, being invited, being accepted, that was really very nice. And for the guests, I really have to say Charles Martinet. He
Well,
has
you know, obviously, yeah.
uh he is so he is so he's so close to his fans and Mario and his passion and his job. His job
Well,
is his
Charles
life.
Martinet, yeah, Charles Martinet especially. I mean, there's some people that you can look at and say, oh, they're a character, they're a persona. They're talking to us because it's part of the job. They have to talk to us, and whatever. But with Charles Martinet, you get the sense that he is. There's nothing bad that you could ever say about Charles Martinet because he's the nicest guy in the world, and he'll bend over backwards to accommodate people. And I mean, he cut short an autograph thing, I think, to talk to us. And I mean,
He did.
yeah, he was such a nice guy, and really, like I said, there's nothing bad that you can say about him at all. He's genuine, and that really nice, happy, the world is great character that you see whenever you talk to him. That's just how he is. He's just a happy guy, and he does something that he loves. So I mean, yeah, absolutely, you can't. He's definitely one of the best guests I think that we've had.
And I'm really glad to see how it worked out with the Extra Life thing with Christopher
Hmm.
Herring and Michelle Robertson telling us about it, and then getting Rick Heaton and also talking passionately about it, and then actually
Yeah.
having friends of mine and even family from HA to actually donate to what we are
Right.
doing when we are live, and
Yeah.
actually
Yeah. I
talking
got
to
a
you listeners on Twitch.
Yeah.
Totally
I got a
amazing.
phone call during one of my commercial breaks from my job to find out that they were watching.
Wow.
So I mean,
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's it was a big thing,
Yeah.
and yeah, Rick Heaton, especially Rick Heaton in a penguin costume, which he wore during the Extra Life extravaganza. He dressed in a penguin
Yeah.
costume. We should put that because this is a video podcast. We should put that picture right here,
Sure.
just
Sure.
so that people can see
Sure.
that.
Send me the picture. Send me the picture right
I
away.
will do that.
Yeah. And what I also like is, you know, this this kind of
It's all downhill from here.
well, so guys, if you have any suggestions for next year, send us an email at podcast@themeworld.org, and Jake,
Send us suggestions for guests
Right.
because we've got lots of people that we'd like to talk to and that we're in the process of getting. We've got some, in talking about 2015, the year's almost over. It's November now. We've only got a couple of months left, and we've got some really good guests lined up for the end of the year here, and we got some good guests lined up for the beginning of next year. But this isn't for just me and Jörg to talk to people that we want to talk to. This if anybody else has ideas for guests, people that they want us to talk to, people that they think would be a good interview or whatever, let us know, and we'll go and sleep out on their lawn until they say yes.
That's how I approach all the video interviews.
That's how Jörg approaches everything in life.
Yeah, yeah. And we are successful with that. Yes. So
Yeah,
anyway,
no restraining orders yet.
yeah. So anyway, podcast@sceneworld.org, and that directly goes to me and AJ.
Yes,
All right.
mostly him.
So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been checking out your guys' website as well.
Oh boy.
I have to be honest, I didn't really know of you guys. Wolfgang told me about it, and I checked the website out. I really like it. I think it's really cool. The way that the fans and the consumers in Germany, for example, consume their gaming media and news, and just in terms of actual any kind of information, it's a unique way compared to how everyone is in the UK, for example. It's very digital, it's very website orientated. Print magazines really struggle here, and that kind of information and stuff. It's great to see it still thriving.
Well, it's a disc mag, and actually you can watch
Yeah.
it online in the web page if you tried
Cool.
that. I don't know. If you
Yeah. I did click on the little icons that you got. I mean, it looks very nice and professional. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Right. So I guess you want to start, AJ?
Well, we're here talking about Pro Evolution Soccer. That's the big topic because we got sort of pre-release codes for it to try it out, and we got to try it out, and it's been an interesting experience, and it's been a really cool game. And so I guess because I don't have too much experience with the previous versions of this, this is really the first Pro Evolution Soccer that I've played. So what is this? In what ways has this improved since the 2015 version?
Well, in general, one of the key things that the brand is known for is this core focus on the gameplay elements. We always focus on giving the user full control, making the game super responsive, with obviously the realism itself is the focus, but it's not whether it's a simulation game or it's an arcade game. We want the experience to be realistic for the user, but also not be frustrating as well. And that's that key balance that you have to hit. And for us, PES has always been focused on those things. Other people, our competitors, for example, focus on maybe licensing and things like that. But the DNA of PES has always been that gameplay experience. So year on year, what we actually benefit from year on year, and I think it will benefit us going forward as well, is the Fox engine. It's the incorporation of the Fox engine, which, as you guys might have played Metal Gear Solid, it's an engine which is built for a fantastic open world game, which we're adapting year by year, especially when we first came onto the PS4 and Xbox One consoles, where we're adapting it with a brand new football engine, brand new physics engine that we're using with Havoc, and we're trying to incorporate this fantastic engine. And PES 16's benefited from that with the visuals, with the animation blending, with the physicality system. However, it's that gameplay experience where we've made everything. When you press the button, something happens, and that's always been the focus for us, because we struggled a few years ago, actually, our first time that we brought the Fox engine into it, where the game became quite unresponsive and slow. And what we've been improving year on year is bringing it back to what PES is known for. I appreciate it's your first game. PES has been celebrating its 20-year anniversary, and what we tried to do is go back to what made those days special. Because if I'm honest with you, you're not the only person who probably came to PES this early, if I'm honest with you.
Right.
Because PES has gone through a fairly checkered past. Recent history hasn't been kind to PES, and it was really with PES 2015 where actually a lot of people heard about PES again, because it had gone off really the quality that people expected. 2015 was a huge year for us, and 2016 just went forward, and the way that we've been moving forward, as I mentioned, is really grasping the gameplay, remembering what made the past game special, and bringing it into PES 2016.
And I can attest to it being actually very responsive, because we were playing it networked, Joerg and I, and he's got a newer system. I was playing it on. I've got a Mac, and for the purposes of this, I didn't really want to put Windows on this thing, so I put it on just to see if it worked, and I put it on a machine from like 2008, which it says right when you start it, it says right off the bat, you can't run this. And yet it ran it fine, and it was responsive, and everything worked great. So it's actually, I mean, I was really surprised at the fact that it ran so well on such an old machine.
Well, the PC version is actually one of the versions where it's incorporating some of what we've been doing to the new consoles as well. But I think it's an interesting discussion where we're trying to keep it so we have a wider a group of users possible, and I guess the concern and also the challenge for us is to make sure that as we keep improving this game, we don't alienate people who perhaps don't have the latest graphics cards, who don't have that, because football, as you guys know, it's a world sport. Everyone loves it, and it's something that is an interesting discussion year on year.
That's actually true. I mean, I was in Peru, in Lima, 2 years ago, and we played on pretty old hardware. We played Dirt 3, and my friend I stayed with, he was a really great gamer, but he wouldn't have the latest hardware. So I can understand the issue that you're raising here, that not all your fans have the latest hardware. because they don't have the income or the kind of work that would allow them to buy a new PC every year or something.
Yeah, definitely. But you're being very kind. I have to be completely honest with you. Some of our fans aren't so kind, where they really want us to be pushing the hardware. And I think it's actually a really good example of sometimes what a studio has to go through, some of the challenges that we have to go through, where we do obviously please one set of fans, and then you've got the hardcore, the people who do get the latest machines, who are sending you really nasty social media messages calling you lazy because you haven't maxed out their latest hardware. But this is the challenge.
Well, it's actually interesting because Pro Evolution Soccer, FIFA Soccer, and some caching game, WWF, WWF game, they are always benchmark on how long the latest PlayStation or the previous PlayStation is still supported. So, like, as long as there are still those 3 games coming out each year, my PlayStation 2 actually had new games. But when you read the reviews on Amazon, people were disappointed that it's the same graphic, it looks the same, but they don't realize that it's still the same hardware from 2002 or so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
There's only so much you can do.
Right. So I guess that is the reason why. Yeah. So you have to find the balance between on any system actually between supporting a lot of consoles and the latest PC hardware, or just the recent ones. That's basically the thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mac
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. I know. We do get that actually from our fans as well, a specific Mac version for the thing, and it's something that we'll always look at as it is as we get, I guess, something that I've been saying for probably 2 years now to all the press when I go to the game shows and we do interviews is really we learn so much every year from the Fox engine, and it's something that I hope allows us to be more adaptable when it comes to the PC market, where it comes to maybe something that you said about this is all the machines can do. Hopefully we unlock, I don't know, another megabyte of memory somewhere in the Fox engine, which allows us to improve things like frame rate and textures, and sometimes things do magically happen when you get better at working on something as well. And I mean, obviously working so closely to the products and seeing what we have to go through on a yearly basis to keep adapting an engine, which, because it was made for this open world kind of game, every month those guys are so talented, they were creating some more tools, and quite late on real skin textures come in, and then it's too late to put it into a yearly game, but we know that we can do it next year, and that unlocks different things. So year on year, what I'm hoping that fans will see actually is huge jumps year on year, and that's, I think, the advantage that we've got going forward with PES, because I think when I look around, I see great looking games, but then you do start to wonder how great can they look and will they look, and I'm hopefully, as the PC market, as you guys know, is always accelerating. There's always a new graphics card coming, no matter what, and it's something that I hope we can stay ahead of and actually adapt to.
Yeah.
I mean, your advantage is that Steam is available on Linux and Mac too nowadays.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And
What about
yeah.
What about smaller? Because you're making this for consoles and for desktops and obviously laptops and stuff. But what about like smaller like tablets and stuff? Because I've seen, I think FIFA has been released on the iPhone.
Oh sure,
and
I
that
have
is,
it. I have it.
Okay, yeah, and that's probably one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. Because it just doesn't, without a controller, that sort of thing just doesn't really translate well to, a little screen. So is there anything, are you considering anything like that, or is that like in the pipeline?
I mean, it's really interesting that you asked me that. I do get told many times, usually by reading press sites, that Konami's going mobile, and it surprises me because I'm like, I'm still working on a next gen engine here, so someone should tell me really soon because I'm wasting your money. But no, I think for us, obviously, right now we are focusing on on making pairs even better, even greater for the platforms that we actually do. And it's really challenging to, as I mentioned, to keep that surprise for the consumer, to make those jumps, because we know that we can, as well as develop for a mobile game as well. We have 2 current mobile games right now on the iPhone and on Android, which is PES Collection, which is like a player collecting game. And we have PES Club Manager, which is that management sim. In terms of actually playing, it's been, I think, 4 years since we actually made that kind of game on the mobile. It's something that we're definitely looking at, because I think, personally, I think it's been far too long that we've been on mobile, and whether we get there or not is something that I'm not fully aware of, if I'm honest with you. But I do see us going there soon. So the 2 games, PES Collection and PES Club Manager, those 2 are absolutely huge in Japan and Asia. As you guys know, it's a huge market for the mobile games. And they do fantastically well over there. And we have brought them across to Europe, and they're doing really well here, but you're talking about a different kind of ecosystem over in Asia. And for us, I think it's a road that everyone's going to go. FIFA's, as you mentioned, it's already there. And it's something that we do want to go, but yeah, just getting that experience right. I don't think anyone's really cracked it yet. And I think that challenge in itself is probably going to make us want to do a mobile game.
Well, so that rumor that you are mainly focusing on mobile and not doing anything else is not actually true, because you mentioned it's on the press sites all array around.
I think there's been a lot of rumors, and I think as a company, I can't speak for the company obviously, but as a company from what we've been working on, there is a number of mobile titles that we do actually have, and for pairs there is 2 that I'm unsure if people are aware of, but we do have actual mobile presence. So whether we're going to go there or not, we are already on mobile. And I think the natural step would be, obviously, as you guys are asking about, bringing that action mobile. And for now, there's absolutely nothing that I can say whether that is true or not. But I can say that if we do go there, I think the challenge would be actually making it so it's not a frustrating experience. It's not your thumbs are all over the screen. You can't actually see the gameplay. It's really interesting, actually. But maybe you're talking about a different kind of user. I can assure you right now, we are focused on certainly improving PES, making PES better. We've got the Euro license, Euro 2016 license, which will be announcing exactly how we're going to use that next year as well. So certainly the future is definitely still on the platforms that we're on.
That's good to know, because since years you hear that PC is going to die as a gaming platform, and that didn't happen,
No,
I
never.
know.
No.
What's his face? Tim Cook just said the other day that the age of the PC is over, or something to that effect.
Very, very short-sighted. And then you see the Steam user numbers, and then you realize, no, actually,
Right?
no.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I wonder about what your thought was when you saw that Electronic Arts, EA Sports, was announcing women's soccer in their FIFA soccer. I think that's a pretty big thing that went to press. Like, wow, that's something never happened. Nobody ever did before. I mean, that must have been like a hit to a punch to your face in a way, because like, oh, that's a big feature that we don't have.
Well, yeah, I think it's really cool for sure. But I think one thing that's really interesting for me is, I think for us, it's about listening to our fans, and if a lot of the focus that we do, obviously as designers, the team in Tokyo, we take a lot of feedback from our fans, and we also have a vision for the series. And as much as we want to focus on our vision, we are always massively influenced by our fans. And I have to be honest with you, women's football wasn't something that the fans were asking. Now, I'm unsure, obviously, for EA if that was something that their fans wanted and they really wanted them to implement. And fair play to them. Maybe that's a different set of fans that we have and they have. Or maybe that was a decision that they had on a design level. Hey guys, we're going to do women's football this year because we believe in it. Either one is cool. But for us, we have to focus on what our fans want. And I can assure you that we didn't have that on a top priority list, or people were really shouting at us to do women's football. And even after the announcement that they made, there was no sudden, you guys should do it too. So I think our fans have probably a lot more issues issues with the PES that they want to have fixed before they start wishing for something like women's football. So I guess that's my main answer to it. I think it's a great thing that they did, but not something that our fans asked for.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I did an interview with Electronic Arts at Gamescom, and he was giving me a similar kind of answer, that their fans were appreciating it. But here in Germany, it got kind of mixed reactions, like half of it saying that gamers said that women's soccer shouldn't be a part of a video game because women shouldn't be in soccer. All this anti-women stuff, that is sometimes unfortunately happening. So I can see the problem here, where not everybody is appreciating it. But then I think if you don't want to play in a women's soccer team, you don't. So it's
Right, exactly. It's an option, but nothing you don't need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's surely some unfortunately some point for some people to say, I prefer Pro Evolution Soccer because they don't have women's soccer in it.
Which puts more pressure on us to make sure that we're delivering a game which can. I mean, we have a challenge already, right? We have a challenge with our game, which, because we're so focused on the experience, on the gameplay, we get criticized for different things. I mean, licensing is usually number one.
Yeah.
And then, you could add the women's soccer as well. And for us, we have to make sure that, okay, we're going to hang our hat on this specific thing, and this specific thing has to be so good that all these things that people throw at us are sort of things that are genuinely issues that they can throw at us. However, we have a really good answer. And I think what we've seen over the past couple of years is that we've managed to do that. I do think, though, that as you go year on year, that same line that I say to you about gameplay and gameplay and gameplay, they'll probably come to a point where we will need to start reinventing something or reimagining something, that will really, again, so I can say to you, it's not just gameplay. We've also done X, Y, and Z, and I think that's really important for us to grow. At the same time, something that I've been saying, because PES went through 5-6 years of really poor review scores and I think a really bad perception, we still had to get back to a level where people remembered PES, which was the #1 football game. Until you get there, you can't, unfortunately, do much more until you get there first. And I think the focus for us was to get there. And, if you were at Gamescom, hopefully you saw that we won the Gamescom Sports Game Award for the second year in a row, which is, never happened before. And we were totally, stunned and surprised and very happy, and made us believe in what we were doing. And the review scores came out, and they were very high as well. And I think for us, it's right now, I think we've done what we wanted to do to bring the brand back. And I think the future is where we hopefully excite people, and the things that they throw back at us, hopefully we can answer with some really, really cool stuff.
On the other hand, what you're also doing is when people pre-order at Amazon, they actually get scarves and footballs and So I got a pre-evolution soccer scarf.
Nice.
Actually for pre-ordering. So that's something you.
And why aren't you wearing it?
I forgot about it, but it's hanging in the in my floor. Anyway,
Okay.
so that's something you do as well as a pre-order bonus at Amazon. You offer like little gadgets.
Yeah, we do. Actually, we talk with retailers quite a lot, and I don't want to take the credit for this. This is definitely the sales guys and those guys who obviously work across all the territories, across Europe and Latin America and even Asia. Those guys really have these conversations. You know, we or some of the brand team will come up with some ideas, and the scarf thing was actually only in Germany. You know,
Okay.
so that's unique to that country. So
Wow.
you know, in different countries you have key rings and things like that. So it really depends on the consumer. And obviously, Amazon being such a global retailer, you have specific pre-orders here and there. I think Amazon actually was exclusive on the anniversary edition where you got the actual steelbook as well. So yeah, we try and do some cool things every year. I think a few years ago in Germany we did the Champions League keyring because we have the Champions League exclusive in pairs. So sometimes we'll use a license, sometimes we'll actually look at the local market. And the scarves thing was literally requested specifically for the German fans.
And I wonder, do you play the competition?
You have to. You have to. No, no. I mean, one thing that you can't be is super arrogant that you don't have to look at anybody else. You know, what you're doing is great. I think you have to take from your competitor. You know, you have to learn where you can learn, you know. And if they're doing something amazing, you need to be aware of it so you're aware of the challenge that you're facing. And I think, you know, certainly not in my spare time. I can assure you that. But definitely, you know, to learn about what they're doing because you know they are still perceived as the number one football game, the number one selling football game, and while that's perhaps never been a part of PES, PES has never been seen. You know, we've been around for 20 years. We've never been the number one selling game. We've never been this, but we've always been, apart from the past 4 or 5 years, we've been seen as the number one rated game. You know, the best football game on the market. If you're a football fan, you play PES, and that's the kind of sort of title that we're after. Certainly on the development side, I'm sure the sales team will say something else. I'm sure they want to sell far more copies. So for us, we have to look at what they're doing. They're a bigger market. They're reaching a lot of people. I mean, EA Sports is a huge company outside of FIFA, you know, so they can have a lot more influence, and it's great to learn. However, it's not only learning, but we have to make sure that we are better as much as possible. And I think that's always the thing, actually, as well, is where I see PES right now is people regard us as the best gameplay, hands down. I think the discussion actually starts to come from, well, do you have the best visuals? Do you have the best presentation? Do you have the best modes? And I think that is less certain. And I think it's our job to make sure that when you play PES, you can answer yes, 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 and yes. And I think apart from the gameplay, which I'm very, very confident about, I think the rest is definitely split opinion. And I think that's really important for us to make sure that we are making that maybes into yeses going forward.
Actually, when I was playing with AJ, he had some idea how to improve the graphics, you know, the facial impressions and so on.
Well,
Maybe
no,
you
no,
want to repeat it.
it wasn't. It wasn't the no. It wasn't. It wasn't anything negative about the graphics in so much as it's, you know, it's the whole uncanny valley thing where,
Mm,
you know, they're computer generated people, and you know, you look at them and you can tell, and that's pretty much the same across the board. Anyone that's computer generated on a screen, there's something about them that you can just know it's not quite, their eyes aren't quite alive, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think when we've got some of the faces that are looking fantastic. I mean, Neymar. You saw Neymar, you know, full 3D face scan as well, and you see sometimes it isn't exactly one to one with real life, like you say. But that's something that we are working on. You know, that's something that the Fox engine can do as well. And it's that technique, it's that emotion that sort of connects you. And the moment you see an animation sort of miss, or you see the emotion not quite connect, it takes you out of the experience. And yeah, we're fully aware of that. And hopefully, it's one of those things that we can really improve and get you lost in scoring that goal or taking that heavy foul.
Well, I have to admit, I compared both games, and I simply had to compare, you know, and that fatal thing with the eyes was one thing where I thought too, like that's a place where to improve.
But I mean, but again, that's, I mean, we're coming from, a few years ago, people's faces were just squares with, vague, with vague features on them. So, I mean, this is kind of a big, it really is a big step. But as far as graphics goes, another comment that I made when we compared the two is that when you're on the field, there's in PES there's like shadow from the stadium over the grass, and there isn't any of that in FIFA. FIFA is just there's the field. There's a little bit more stuff maybe happening on like the sideboards and stuff, but like there's no the realism isn't totally there. For that, it's just it's a thing that I wouldn't say that one is necessarily better than the other. There's two different approaches to the same sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah, and I think it's like having real-time lighting sometimes really helps with that kind of thing as well. And I'm sure you probably, I don't know if you saw the Metal Gear talk at GDC a few years ago, where they went through the full engine and the lighting, the day-night cycle and things like that. And they're the kind of things which allow you to have those realistic shadows and daytime from morning light to dusk and things like that. And that's something that I think really, really, really helps us with those kind of things.
Right.
And I certainly, really, really appreciate when you can see that, whether it's nighttime or daytime, that kind of shadowing, the reflections, and personally, I really get lost in the visual detail. Whether it's in actual game cam, you can actually see the player physique. Sorry. You can see their hairstyle. You can see what boots they're wearing. You can see whether they're wearing a sweatband and high socks, low socks. These are the kind of things that when you watch real football on TV, they sort of pop and they stand out. And that's really where I think Fox Engine allows us to keep those details super high. I mean, you guys must be aware of all the, the sort of tricks that games dev guys do with the LOD settings to keep the frame rate high. And I think when it comes to Fox, it allows us to really keep it nice and high resolution, even when the camera pans back.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Electronic Arts is quite huge, but I think Konami on the other side has a longer history. You are around since forever.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Konami started off mainly what it's doing now, really, still, which is the amusements and family fun sort of sector, and obviously video game company. Many different studios. When it started off with Pro Evolution Soccer, also with ISS. Then you had obviously all the franchises like Contra and Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania. Yeah. There's a huge amount of titles for us for sure. However, I think when you look at what our competition is, where we are, and how long we've managed to fight them, let's just say, I think it's very different when you look at the two companies side by side. I still probably regard, certainly in the video game sector, in terms of size and power, you look at the Ubisofts, the Activisions, and you look at EA probably a little bit differently in terms of that, the amount of catalogs, the amount of games that you are making on a yearly basis. But certainly in terms of heritage and history, Metal Gear celebrated 25 years as well, so we've been celebrating anniversaries for a long time.
Yeah, that's actually another question I had. I saw you previously worked also for Ubisoft.
That's correct, yeah.
Like the Fractals that we interviewed in February.
I wasn't there actually when the Fractals were there. That was around the Prince of Persia era on PS2. No, my first games that I was sort of overseeing, not necessarily working on, but working with actually on that side, it was the brand and marketing team at that time. It was probably just before Assassin's Creed 2 came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360. So no, I missed that fantastic era.
That unfortunately ended. Yeah.
Right after they talked to us.
But don't worry, Pro Evolution Soccer will still be alive, and Konami too after the conversation. No, it's interesting because when I talk to people and when we talk to people like to you or to Charles Martinet from Nintendo, you can hear how they connect to the company and to what they are doing, and the and the fantastic feeling about they are improving the gaming world and giving people some joy, and I think soccer really isn't so easy as a genre, because you have to reinvent yourself each year, and it's still soccer.
It's still soccer. It's still every year as well. And to be honest with you, when it comes to actually playing the game, there's only two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 10 years ago, there's so many football games out there. It's so difficult to be successful in this, because there is only so much the fans want to consume as well, and there's such a high level to hit as a minimum now, because both games I think are improving. What you mentioned is right. Every year you have to reinvent, you have to excite, and I think that's always a challenge. And you can see how hard it is when you've only got two football games out there.
But that's going to change. As of today, news: the developer John Hare from Sensible Soccer announced on Kickstarter he will do a new version of it.
I'm looking forward to it. Seriously, I think that those kind of games is where everybody started, right? And that's where, if you were playing football games back in the day, back on your computers and so forth, that's where your first memory is. So yeah, good luck to the guy. Certainly, if you want to have a complete end-to-end kind of football experience, where I was saying to you before, it's that balance. I don't think they don't want any balance. I think it's about crazy goals and curling shots, and yeah, I can't wait. One thing though that I saw was that it wasn't coming to handheld, and I think that for me would have been the perfect opportunity to play that game.
Yeah.
Well, but it's great. I mean, each year they're still coming out a modified version of Kickoff 2. You've heard about Kickoff 2. That's still there are still championships and so on worldwide. So there are still people concentrating on the retro soccer games, and I guess
Five-a-side soccer.
yeah, so I wonder, are you afraid or are you aware of the Kickstarter competition that is coming up? Old soccer games getting reinvented. I mean, that must be exciting for you, having more competition than just one.
I wouldn't even call that competition, because that's a niche market for the Kickstarter stuff. Whereas Konami and EA are pretty much they're the monoliths in this. That's where if people want a serious game and really want to seriously play a soccer game, that's where they're going to go. And the older retro stuff or the stuff on Kickstarter, that's somebody that might want to play something that's it reminds them of how it used to be or whatever. But I don't see that as being a competitor specifically.
I absolutely agree, and I think it's great to have that kind of game in the market, because, like I mentioned, it is a different experience. Whether they're going to be a competitor is probably not what they're thinking about as well. I think they're looking to be in the market because their fans must have been crying for that kind of game for many years now, and it is such a unique experience. It's not something that we have ever tried to emulate, and they've never tried to emulate what we are doing now as well. But I think it's its own unique thing. There's definitely space for it, but I'm sure the consumers will obviously make that choice, make that decision if there is a space for it. But I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
PES 17 will have the retro mode. Everyone's a little tiny pixel guy running around the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we don't want to compete in that market.
I think it's just great to see a legend like John Hare coming back to the scene, like saying, "Hey, I'm doing a game again."
that video is hilarious. It's perfect.
Yeah. So I wonder if we may ask a personal question about your history, since we mentioned Ubisoft and so on. How did you actually start in the video game business?
Yeah, I actually was working. Oh, you're making me feel old now. Good old days. I was working in games retail as like a store manager, where a good friend used to work in sort of field marketing for Sony, and from there, kind of, we were really good friends, and he sort of messaged me one day and go, Ubisoft are hiring for this field marketing role, which is where you go to various retailers across the country and you demonstrate games to them, attend their games conferences. I'm not sure if you have them in your countries, but yeah, you have like the game retailer or the GameStop retailer conferences and things like that. And I was like, that sounds really cool. So from there, I managed to get into Ubisoft. It's always that foot in the door that sort of helps. And started off doing field marketing and worked myself up in Ubisoft to sort of a brand marketing role. And from there, on the side, I was working on some community fan websites, which were around football games, not just PES, I'll just say that, but a number of different football games. And a position came up in Konami for a European community manager, and I applied for it straight away. I actually got to know some of the senior people just through attending shows and being a fan of the game and being invited to early playtests. So while I was working for Ubisoft, I was also gallivanting around playing PES and reporting on PES for the fans, and I did that as a hobby. It was definitely a non-profit kind of way. It's just like following your passion. I had a lot of passion for the Ubisoft games. I think if Ubisoft ever brought out a football game in that space, I'd be in a lot of trouble. But because they didn't, Assassin's Creeds and Far Cry's and the Ghost Recon's, Splinter Cells, I was just working on those kind of games. So I managed to get the interview for PES 2.5 years ago, got the job, and managed to, thankfully, move myself up in the company again, similar to Ubisoft, but, I mean, extremely quickly. Thankfully, things pay off when you probably have some, good ideas. You live by the sword, die by the sword. So I went from the community manager to a European brand manager, and now to a global product brand manager in 2.5 years. So it's been a fantastic journey for me so far. A huge fan of PES over the years. So it's definitely a dream come true.
So you made your passion for football games, soccer games, to your job finally.
Yeah, it's a dream, absolute dream, and I really appreciate it. And actually, a lot of the fans that I have on social media still remember me from back in the day. They keep pulling up really old videos of old interviews of excited Adam, who wasn't warned by the game development scene, who didn't have bags under his eyes, who could sleep. But yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure pain, I call it. You've got. I'm working on a game that I really love. I love football as well, so yeah, definitely managed to achieve something that I've really wanted for so long.
What I personally miss, and I told the same to Electronic Arts when I did the interview at Gamescom, I miss the indoor mode that FIFA Soccer had at '97. Where you play in a hall. I really loved that. It was quick. It was something different. It has a bit of a basketball feeling. It was a bit like a basketball game.
They still play indoor soccer? Is that a thing that actually happens?
They do, yeah. They do a lot of beach soccer as well, and there's a lot of well-known players who are actually playing that kind of skills football. I think there was a game that was dedicated to that came out a few years ago. I know that Ubisoft made one called Pure Football when I was there, and it was this five-a-side style game. But as you can probably notice, unfortunately, they're not around anymore. And I think, again, that's probably something that the consumer dictates whether games like that exist anymore. And it's unfortunate for fans of it. And certainly for us, we do get people asking about making a five-a-side game for PES, but the key thing for us is on a priority list of what we need to do. That's probably something that we can do maybe a few years down the line. We feel like I mentioned to you before those factors where you're not quite sure how to answer. If they're all yes, I think that's when you get to a point where you can start saying, all right, guys, we've absolutely destroyed the competition. We're number one. what can we do now? And I think for me personally, I would love to do something like a five-a-side mode, but it will take a lot of resources and a lot of dev time away from maybe the yearly factors that we have to do for the mass audience. So it's
Right.
again really good discussion to have internally that we do have when we do come down. Once a game ships, we all come down into a room around a table. I fly to Tokyo, meet with the team, and we all sort of have these things that we bring to the table. Everyone has their one thing, and we fight for it. And you see who won by what's in the game when it comes out.
So you could say, hey guys, you made women's soccer. We are playing street soccer nowadays.
Yeah, we could. But I'll be honest with you, again, it's one of those things that people do ask for, but we get, as you can probably imagine, we get so many different kinds of requests and tens of thousands of ideas, which apparently is going to, make the whole football gaming scene explode. As people send me letters, they send emails, they use social media. So we have a lot of passionate fans who think their idea is the best. So it's about sifting through that and actually spotting those diamonds. Definitely. Who knows? That's what I'll say. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, plus, if you took everyone's suggestions and did them all at once, man, you'd need a team of thousands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, there is something for racing games, Project Cars. They did recently on Kickstarter earlier this year, where you could have all kind of racing games, from kart racing to Formula One to rally, whatever. You could do such a kind of soccer game, where you
Oh,
can
yeah,
play
yeah.
all kind of soccers.
Adult soccer, women's soccer, children's soccer,
Yeah. Make your own
turtles
football
walking around with pushing a ball.
game. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, Konami from my childhood is always connected with turtles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
with
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
When I think about Konami, it's connected with action games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember the Contra games myself as
Yes.
well.
Contra,
Super Robotech.
yeah, that
yeah,
was a very
yeah.
nice one too. Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
So interesting. Right. So so what are you trying? I mean, if you may say, I don't know if it's a secret. What are you trying for the next Pro Evolution Soccer?
Mm.
Probably.
Yeah, it's not something that we can talk about,
Sure.
as you probably anticipated me saying.
Sure.
However, I think I've alluded to quite a few things. Making sure that everything that we haven't really achieved, that the consumer wants to feel like we've achieved. Gameplay aside, we're always going to be focusing on gameplay every year, and we're always going to be looking at improving things that we get fed back. But in a general sense, you play the game, you see maybe how it moves, maybe how it looks, maybe some of the presentation, maybe what's going on in between you going from start to gameplay, all the presentation elements. When you have a dream list, it's actually really easy to predict what a developer might want to improve on a game year on year. There's only so many things that your game has, whether it's ball physics, whether it's in-game visuals, whether it's menus, online modes, offline modes, and I think obviously the $1 million question is exactly what of those things we're going to focus on, and that's the surprise. But hopefully, you guys get the sense that we are really excited about the challenges ahead because of, I mentioned the Fox Engine quite a lot, and we are going to be using that even more. And PES 2016 was only our second game that we brought out since we changed engine. So we're still developing and we're still learning more and more and more. So for me, it's just more about saying to you guys, expect the unexpected, expect bigger leaps than what you might expect on a yearly title. And we really want the fans to finally be happy with what PES is achieving, and to be really excited about the future, to not have any concerns or issues, just to be extremely happy and look forward and to the next versions of the game, and to stick by us, really, because we're really excited about what the future holds.
What we really figured when we played online, by the way, was we had a lot of drop offs for some reason.
Yeah, so we are using dedicated servers right now to connect people, and then we're focusing on P2P during the game. So that's why we're not, unfortunately, that experience probably is one of the things that our fans feed back on, because we're not controlling that experience for them. And it's perhaps, I don't want to promise anything about that. We're definitely going to fix that, because when I like to talk about things that we're going to do, it's always important for me to show it, to actually prove it. So next year at Gamescom, we can talk about these kind of things. But hopefully we'll have some solutions for the fans.
Oh yeah, I will be there again. We have a booth, our single booth. We are invited to the retail area each year.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, sure. Actually, they asking me each year, come make a booth. So I will be there definitely. And yeah, it's just something, because you probably know about Extra Life and that game day. So AJ and I, we spent there like 24 hours in turns, and from 4 games we did, only 1 succeeded and all the other ones dropped in between. And that was a bit of a pity, but I can understand that on a game day on Extra Life, where everybody is playing soccer and other games, that you have more load on the servers than on normal days.
Yeah, definitely, especially when it comes to the connecting and things like that. And yeah, we do have peaks and things, and that's probably something that we do need to learn. I mean, I'm not going to try and say too much, but there's many areas where we can improve, and just be assured that we're aware of them. I think sometimes for the fans, when maybe it's in a real life, where you have a friend who isn't aware when they've done something wrong, and all you need is them to acknowledge that was uncalled for, but is he aware of that? And sometimes for the fans, all they want is acknowledgement, because they don't probably need you to say sorry. But the frustration comes from, are you guys aware of how broken? I get it. It's broken. Are you aware it's broken? And sometimes all they need is a yes. We're looking into it, and I think that makes you feel better that you're aware. And that's why when I do get your feedback about maybe some of the eyes and the visuals or the online dropping off, sometimes it's good for the fans to know that we're fully aware of these things and we agree, and it's something that we'll definitely look at in the future.
So you know what I'm talking about. You experienced, or you monitored the stuff.
If I'm honest with you, it's probably something that I've experienced a little bit more on PC than I have on the console, and it probably comes down to looking at the netcode and seeing exactly how it's working properly. Looking at exactly how Steam handles those things as well. But yeah, they're the kind of things that tend to. And it's quite interesting, actually. Sometimes it can be really interesting because you get different kinds of feedback in different countries, depending on the online experience as well. So it can be extremely difficult for us to pinpoint the issue sometimes. And, when you work on a game, the best way for you to fix the issue is to be able to replicate the issue.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes it's extremely difficult to do that based on a user's experience as well. But it's something, when I've been playing on PC, unfortunately, I've noticed that a little bit more consistent than I have on console. So it's something that we'll definitely look at.
So it's not me and not AJ. Yeah, and I also found out that it's playing a bit slower on the online mode than in single player mode. And first I thought it was my PC, and maybe I should change resolution or details, and it didn't really change a thing. It's probably that the network delay is probably showing in the fluency of the gameplay in a way.
Yeah, and also with like online gaming as well, you'll notice a lot of developers always try to control it a lot more, control the experience, so there's less chance of these kind of issues, or they're limiting the issues as well. So when you go online, you'll see probably less choice of camera angles, for example. Less choice because we know that we can guarantee you a stable experience with the cameras that we've set in the actual online mode as well. And sometimes that might seem that we're restricting users, but we're actually trying to make sure that if you do have issues, we're minimizing them, because we know that no matter what happens with the drop off of the connection, it's less likely to start stuttering or ghosting if it's on this constant game mode setting.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Did you know that, AJ?
I did not know that.
So you'll notice that actually, and you'll probably start realizing that in different games as well. It's just that when you go online in certain situations, controlling of the experience is the best way for us to make sure that and sometimes that's obviously bad for the consumer. The consumer probably thinks that, hey guys, you're lazy. Why didn't you optimize for this angle or that angle? And we do get it quite a lot as well. But it's the resources that we have, the time that we have, and I think it's more important for us, rather than to give you a load of different options that probably haven't been optimized, we can guarantee you a stable experience with a little less options.
Right.
I mean, the worst experience I ever had was Outrun Coast to Coast, which was released in 2006. And when I played online, I couldn't see the opponent's car, and then it would suddenly like go to distance, and then it would flicker and so on. That was kind of weird. So yeah, and then I also played Equinox in 2001, and it didn't have an issue. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I think netcode back in those days was so easy to create. When you're talking about, I remember playing the old PS2 games when you had to get the network adapter. There was Resident Evil Outbreak. There was PES 6 as well, which was the first PES game, obviously as a fan, which was online.
Oh,
And
interesting.
you could get the adapter for the PlayStation 2 as well. And those experiences were super smooth. Xbox 360, the first PES game on the Xbox 360 as well that I played online with a lot of friends, perfectly fine. As you get into the new consoles, all you hear actually is, and also on some of the PC games as well, obviously, as you guys know, when they launch, there's always horrific issues. And I have never, when it comes to the new game launches now, I don't know how you guys feel about that, taking PES out of the equation, but you start to expect it now a little bit as well. You expect there to be, and that's not probably something that's nice for the consumer, to start to expect there is going to be issues online as well. But it never used to be you
used to go to the store or online, you'd buy your game, and then you'd have your game, and that would be it. And now it's the game is released, you download it, and you expect it to update the next day, because it feels almost like beta versions of things are being released to the public. Like, we can't bother to finish everything. Let them put it out now. We'll take care of that once they've got it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when it comes to online and things like that as well, I think it goes to show, not only is it something that perhaps has come into the industry as well, I think it goes to show how difficult it is for a lot of the developers to get things perfectly right. I was on that's what it was actually recently. I was on the Street Fighter beta as well, and that was really, really messed up, and that was a pre-order bonus, and that didn't work. So even now, new games and developers who've got really good history with like online, sometimes you can't test for that wider audience experience, unfortunately.
Right. Plus, there's such a difference in hardware too. It used to be, you could write a game for a PlayStation or for, whatever thing. And you could basically be assured that everybody that owned it had the exact same hardware. Yeah. And there was no possibility that you'd have something that was incompatible, or a weird video card or a weird network adapter or something. And now everyone's got a different, a different kind of PC, and you can't plan for every contingency anymore.
Exactly.
So you got to fix it as you go along.
Absolutely. It's the thing with phones now as well. The amount of times that you get the new iPhones or the new whatever, Samsung Galaxies or Sony Xperias. They come out a few versions later of the software, and you can't play your old stuff as well, and
Right.
you have to develop for the wider audience or the newer audience. And yeah, it's
Hmm.
crazy. It's just across the board. Gaming's gone crazy.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, and I also wonder how it's going to be developed because personally, I talk a lot since last year to African people. You know, people in Uganda and so on. They suddenly got broadband internet over
Yeah.
3G and LTE and stuff. So, as you said, you are trying to make your games appealing to the audience. I wonder how they will change as the audience will grow. You know.
That's really interesting as well. It's something that, as a global company, Konami, obviously Japanese company, has just recently started to sort of ship and sell games in China as well, and specifically with our console gaming, I should say. And that's obviously a new market as well, and seeing how that works. A couple of years ago, we started to incorporate Arabic language for the first time because there was a requirement because of the user base growing dramatically, and it actually also um, made us choose to incorporate brand new licenses around the Asian Champions League because of that growing market as well. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You do look at the markets, you see, obviously you get the sales data, and you see, oh, that's a spike. That's a new market, and what do those fans want? And you start reaching out and trying to keep that market growing. And obviously that's what the sales guys will tell you is trying to give give them something back, if you know what I mean. And that's something that's always going to be interesting. Hopefully those kind of things keep popping up as well as everyone gets more consistent broadband, and everyone starts getting high powered PCs, and then maybe those kind of decisions will, or the lowest power graphics card, which is super powerful, but it becomes the norm, and then you can start accommodating even more users with a higher end visual system. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, because I remember when I got my first internet connection like 15 years ago, I was like, okay, so what can I do now? I can play against my friends. Great. I can talk to people from Brazil. Great. So you look at what you can do, and I guess as an African market coming to grow, you would say, I want my internet connection to use for Skype, for playing Pro Evolution Soccer, playing any other game. So
Well, soccer's huge in Africa.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
And I noticed, Jörg, that he refers to it as football, as people should.
Well,
Jörg calls it soccer, and he's in Germany, and that's just wrong.
yeah, because soccer everybody knows, but football is like
Yeah, but see,
American football.
this is not a ball, nor do you use your foot. So I don't know why we call it football in America, because it's
Yeah.
not. It's got nothing to do with either of those things.
Great, great. So what are your goals for the future, Adam, personally?
Ooh, personally, it's difficult, really. I just want to keep working the way that I'm working. Actually, I'm really happy. I can't ask for too much right now. Working in the position that I am, having such an influence and over the sort of the way that PES is moving. And I'm happy to be there as well. I'm working with the guys in Tokyo who are the leaders when it comes to creating the game, and the guys who have that final say. But to be able to be shoulder by shoulder with them talking about the game is amazing for me. So for the future is actually just wherever I think I go, I'm hoping that wherever I move, it is a positive impact on the game. And I feel like hopefully everyone who's seen the game grow over the last few years, hopefully they agree, they see that as a side by side comparison. And as long as I can keep working with the team in Japan, as long as they keep making some amazing football games for the fans as well, and just having the opportunity to work with them, that's my future sorted for sure.
So you traveled around Japan and UK all the time.
Yes, very consistently. I'm actually flying out in 14 days again. to go to Tokyo. So I travel very consistently, but not only that as well. We have offices, we have an office in Frankfurt, we have an office in LA as well. Go there regular to see everybody and communicate. We have distributors in Italy and in the Middle East, in Dubai. I travel so consistently around the world, and it's fantastic. Can get a little bit, unfortunately, a little bit boring because you don't get to spend time in the cities.
Yeah.
I think my favorite times of the year are E3 and Gamescom.
So you will be at Gamescom, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Going for the hat trick, actually. That would be incredible if you managed to win the award for 3 years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, going to Gamescom. But those kind of trips are really cool because you're there for the week. So a business meeting, I fly in and I'm gone in 2 days, no matter how long that flight is. So it's great to be in LA for a week and enjoy the place, and then you go to Cologne. And Cologne's fantastic. It's really amazing. So
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's so small, yeah, it feels so alive. Cologne as well.
Yeah,
I mean, you go to the train station where everything's happening around there, and different kinds of food, different cultures. I really enjoy it.
I saw you post where you were overly happy about being the general brand manager now for Pro Evolution Soccer. So I could feel your excitement,
Yeah. Just imagine a kid who loves sweets being a sweet shop manager. It's absolutely amazing experience for me right now. But one thing that I've not done is probably taken a moment to and stop to think about where I am, because I feel like I might start crying in a heap and curl in a corner and think that's it. My life is achieved. I can die now. I don't want to die just yet. So. I try not to think about it and just to keep moving forward. I think I'll be really happy once PES is at a stage where I think everybody wants it to be. It's not just the gameplay which everyone talks about, and everyone is talking about everything in this game in such a high regard, and I think that's where we want to go.
Cool.
Great,
So
great.
where can people get Pro Evolution Soccer 2016?
Well, Steam. Just go to
Okay.
Steam. It's right there. It's definitely go there. But absolutely everywhere. Amazon is a great partner of ours as well. Game and GameStop and things like that. So we also have special offers on PlayStation Store right now as well. I think for another week, where if you have PS Plus, you get double discount. I think it's something like 30% off, something like that. So it's a 1 week offer. So definitely get that super quickly.
Cool.
Cheers.
I've got my scarf. I'm totally happy now.
Great.
Great. So,
Cool.
thanks a lot, and have a good evening.
You
Enjoy
too.
some nice dinner or something.
I will try. And you, AJ, have a nice day, I guess.
All right. Yeah, I still got a whole day ahead of me.
Thank you. Bye
Take care.
All right.
bye.
Thanks a lot. So that was Adam Bhatti from Konami with Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah. So, what do you think now? After talking to him.
Pretty much what I thought before. I mean, it's a decent game, and it's worth playing.
And he was pretty truthful about, open about the difficulties and what they want to improve.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, if you want to check out that stuff, we got some addresses for you.
Yep.
So, they got a Twitter account as official PS.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Bhatti can be found at Adam_Bhatti. That's
Right.
BHATTI.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are on Facebook too with Pro Evolution Soccer. Let's
Okay.
see that. Yeah. And it's as facebook.com/ps. Right.
Cool.
Yep. And as for Konami, I think it's konami.com. Right.
Mm-hmm. You can also find it on Steam and various other places.
As
Any
you
any
heard,
store that sells games,
and
GameStop, that sort of thing.
As you heard, they got special gifts assigned to early pre-orders if you are living in Germany via Amazon Germany, like a scarf that I've got.
Yep.
But actually, I should show it. Give me a second.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Sure.
Ah, yes. That's a scarf.
Yeah. It's cold inside my flat. I have to wear a scarf.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So. And if you want to see more of us, you can get to AJ's blog at justwestofhell.com. I know it by heart.
That's it. Yeah.
And I'm at navcom.eu. And we also got
That's
a
where he is.
Twitter stuff. I'm at navcom.
Yeah.
And AJ is at Arthur J. Heller at Twitter. Right. And we also got a YouTube channel where we will post a review comparison video of FIFA Soccer against Pro Evolution Soccer, or the other way around, at youtube.steamworld.org. Right.
That's right.
Right, yeah. And looking forward to our next podcast and to the next magazine, and be prepared to hear more from us in the next year. And see you soon in December, and yeah, with very special guests again, right?
Indeed.
So, see you. Goodbye.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.